Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into some seriously bizarre animal adaptations?
Absolutely. Nature's ingenuity never ceases to amaze, does it?
It really doesn't.
I,
I mean, we've got creatures on this planet that can practically walk on water, others that mimic venomous creatures. It's mind-boggling.
it really makes you appreciate the power of evolution, how life finds a way to thrive in even the most extreme environment.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. How about we start with the white-spotted pufferfish? These little guys are known for creating these intricate crop circles on the seabed. It's not just some random underwater art project, right?
Not at all. It's actually all about attracting a mate. The male pufferfish meticulously constructs these elaborate designs to impress the females.
So it's like an underwater art competition. The best artist wins the girl.
Pretty much. But it's not just about aesthetics. These crop circles also serve a practical purpose.
Huh? Like what?
Well, the ridges and grooves help protect the eggs. They lay them in the central depression, and the design helps minimize the impact of currents.
Wow, so it's like a combination of art studio and nursery all rolled into one. Talk about multitasking.
Mm.
Okay, let's move on to a creature that's part amphibian, part superhero, the hairy frog.
Ah, yes, the hairy frog. Quite a unique amphibian.
Now, I've heard these frogs can actually break their own bones to create claws. That sounds pretty intense.
It's true, they have these bony nodules in their toe pads, and when threatened, they can actually force these bones through their skin. Creates these sharp, retractable claws.
Ouch. That sounds incredibly painful. But I guess in the wild, you got to do what you got to do to survive.
Exactly. In their habitat, fast-flowing streams, often low in oxygen, they need every advantage they can get.
Right, those claws would definitely give them a fighting chance. But it's not just the claws that make these frogs remarkable, is it? What about those hair-like structures? You know, the ones they get during mating season?
Right, the hairs. They're actually not hairs at all, but dermal papillae, extensions of their skin rich in blood vessels.
And what's the purpose of these?
Well, it's all about increasing surface area, which helps them absorb more oxygen from the water. Think of them as supplementary gulls.
So it's like they're turning their entire bodies into respiratory organs? Incredible. From underwater artists to amphibious wolverines, nature never ceases to amaze. Speaking of amazing, let's dive into the depths of the ocean. I'm talking about the scaly foot gastropod. This creature lives near deep-sea hydrothermal vents, one of the most extreme environments on Earth, and it's got some serious armor to protect it.
Those hydrothermal vents are something else. Intense heat, toxic chemicals, immense pressure. It's hard to believe anything can survive there. But the scalyfoot gastropod does. And it's got this unique three-layered shell that helps it do it.
Yeah, I heard one of those layers is actually made of iron sulfide, which basically makes its foot magnetic.
It's true. The outermost layer, iron sulfide, provides an incredibly tough shield. Then there's a middle layer made of a shock-absorbing organic material, and finally, the innermost layer is a more typical calcium carbonate shell.
Wow, it's like a medieval knight in full plate armor, but with a magnetic boot. But how does this snail even survive in an environment where food is so scarce?
Ah, well, that's where things get even more interesting. The scalyfoot gastropod has this symbiotic relationship with bacteria, sulfur oxidizing bacteria to be precise. They live inside the snail and use chemicals from the vents to produce energy, basically providing food for the snail.
It's like a self-contained ecosystem within the snail itself. Incredible.
Sure.
Nature truly is amazing. Okay, I think it's time for a creature known for its lightning-fast reflexes and its ability to seemingly walk on water, the basilisk lizard, or as some people call it, the Jesus lizard.
A fitting nickname, given its ability to sprint across water. Of course, they can't actually walk on water, but they can run across the surface for short distances.
So how do they do it?
They have these specially adapted hind legs with fringes of skin that spread out when they run, increasing their surface area and creating air pockets that give them that temporary support.
So it's like they're momentarily defying gravity. Pretty cool, but what's the evolutionary advantage?
Mainly for escaping predators. When threatened, they drop from branches and sprint across the water to safety, leaving their pursuers behind.
It's like a built-in escape route.
Genius.
From underwater architects to water-spreading lizards, we've already covered some incredible adaptations, but hold on tight because we're just getting started.
And there's so many more out there. It really highlights just how diverse and resilient life on Earth truly is.
It does. Speaking of resilient, our next creature is a master of survival, the naked mole rat. They may not win any beauty contests, but they have some incredible adaptations. Like, did you know they can live for decades? That's crazy long for a rodent their size.
It is. They have a remarkably stable genome and these unique cellular mechanisms that make them super resistant to cancer and aging.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah. Scientists are actually studying them, hoping to, unlock the secrets of their longevity.
That makes sense. Who wouldn't want to live longer?
Yeah.
And isn't it also interesting how they live in these complex underground colonies, almost like ants or bees?
They're eusocial, which means they have this highly organized social structure, a single breeding female, kind of like bee colonies.
Oh, I see. So it's like a super efficient way to divide labor and make the most of resources.
Precisely. It helps them thrive in that challenging underground environment.
It's amazing how different species have evolved these similar social structures, to tackle similar problems. Okay, ready for a creature that seems to defy the laws of physics? The green sea slug.
Ah, yes, the solar-powered slugs.
Solar-powered slug. What?
You heard right. They can actually photosynthesize, just like plants.
How is that even possible?
It's all about symbiosis. They have this amazing relationship with algae. They eat the algae, but instead of digesting the chloroplasts, they incorporate them into their own cells.
Wait, so they're stealing the algae's solar panels, essentially.
Exactly.
That's incredible. How long can they actually survive just on photosynthesis, though?
Well, some species can survive for months just on the energy from those stolen chloroplasts.
That's mind-blowing. Okay, prepare to be amazed. Our next creature is practically immortal, the planarian flatworm.
Ah, yes, the regeneration champion.
Seriously, they can regenerate their entire bodies. It's unbelievable. Like, even if you cut them into tiny pieces, how do they do that?
It's all about neoblasts, a special type of stem cell. They can become any type of cell in the body. Pretty incredible.
So like a built-in repair kit that can fix anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Are there any limits to this superpower?
Well, if you, completely obliterated all their cells, they probably wouldn't be able to reform.
Right, makes sense.
But their ability to regenerate from even tiny fragments is just astounding.
It is. Okay, let's bring things back down to Earth, literally, and talk about earthworms. They might not be the most glamorous creatures, but they're essential for healthy ecosystems.
They are the unsung heroes of the soil, that's for sure.
So what makes them so important?
Well, they're constantly aerating the soil, improving drainage, breaking down organic matter.
Oh, so like releasing nutrients that plants need?
Exactly. They create this incredibly fertile environment for plants to thrive.
It's like they're nature's little gardeners.
That's a great way to put it. They might not have flashy adaptations, but their contribution to the ecosystem is just undeniable.
That's so true. It reminds us to appreciate all those often overlooked creatures. They play a crucial role. Speaking of fascinating creatures, let's talk about the anglerfish, the deep-sea dweller, with a unique approach to, well, romance.
Ah, yes. The anglerfish, with its bioluminescent lure and somewhat peculiar mating habits.
Peculiar how?
Well, in some species, the males are tiny, like really tiny compared to the females. And get this, when a male finds a female, he latches onto her body,
Okay.
and over time, his tissues actually fuse with hers.
Wait, he literally becomes part of her.
He does.
Wow. That's a bit creepy, but also kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
So why does this happen?
It all comes down to survival in the deep sea. Finding a mate is really tough. So this fusion guarantees reproductive success. The male basically becomes a permanent sperm provider, ensuring the female can reproduce whenever she's ready.
Wow, it's like a built-in life partner. Okay, let's move on to a creature that's both beautiful and dangerous, the Portuguese man-o'-war. It looks like a jellyfish, but I hear it's something else entirely.
You're right, it's not a jellyfish. It's actually a colony of polyps, all working together like a single organism.
Really? That's so strange.
Isn't it? They drift on ocean currents and use their long, venomous tentacles to snag prey.
Yeah, I heard those tentacles can pack a serious punch.
They can. Those tentacles are loaded with stinging cells, nematocysts, that deliver a potent cocktail of toxins.
Ouch. Definitely a creature to admire from afar. Okay, let's talk chameleons, the masters of camouflage. It's not just about blending in, is it?
You're right. It's also about communication. They use color changes to signal to each other.
So it's like their own secret language.
Exactly. Males will flash bright colors to attract females or ward off rivals. It's all about visual communication.
That's so cool. Now, for a creature that's a true survivor, the tardigrade, these microscopic animals are basically indestructible.
They are incredibly resilient. They can handle extreme temperatures, pressure, radiation, you name it.
Wait, I heard they can even survive in space.
They can. They've been sent up there and live to tell the tale. They go into this state called cryptobiosis, where their metabolism basically starts and they become dormant.
Like tiny, indestructible time travelers. That's wild. Okay, back to Earth now. Let's chat about the dung beetle.
Yes, the ultimate recycler.
So what makes them so special?
Well, they feed on animal dung, breaking it down and burying it, which
Oh.
helps recycle nutrients and keep the soil healthy.
That's like nature's cleanup crew.
Exactly. And they're surprisingly strong. They can move dung balls many times their own weight.
It's a good reminder that even the less glamorous parts of nature play a crucial role. Speaking of fascinating partnerships, let's talk about the spotted salamander. They've got this amazing symbiotic relationship with algae.
Right. The algae actually grow inside the salamander embryos. It's pretty amazing.
Wait, inside the embryos, what's going on there?
Well, the algae provide the embryos with oxygen through photosynthesis, while the embryos offer a safe, nutrient-rich haven for the algae to grow.
It's like a win-win situation for both of them.
Exactly. It's a brilliant example of interspecies cooperation.
It really is incredible how life finds these ways to adapt and thrive.
It certainly is, and we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
And there's so much more to discover. Nature is full of these incredible partnerships. Speaking of which, let's talk about a creature that often gets a bad rap, the vampire bat.
The vampire bat. I know they feed on blood, but isn't that, like, pretty common in the animal kingdom?
Well, yeah, there are other blood feeders out there, mosquitoes, leeches, but vampire bats have a more refined approach.
Refined, how so?
They've got these sharp teeth that they use to make tiny incisions, and their saliva has these anticoagulants that keep the blood from clotting.
So it's like they've evolved their own special toolkit just for, tapping into that blood supply.
Exactly. They're highly specialized.
But isn't it kind of risky, relying on blood for all your nutritional needs?
It definitely comes with its challenges. Blood isn't exactly packed with calories, so they have to consume a lot of it. And they have to be stealthy about it, too.
Right. Would want to wake up your dinner. I've heard they have, like, heat sensors that help them find those blood vessels.
They do. They have these heat-sensing pits on their noses that can detect infrared radiation from warm-blooded animals.
So they're like little heat-seeking missiles. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about a creature that's a true aerial acrobat. The hummingbird.
Yes, the hummingbird, a marvel of flight.
Seriously. They can hover in midair. They can even fly backwards. It's amazing. How do they do that?
It's all about their wing structure and muscles. They can actually rotate their wings in a full circle, unlike other birds.
Really?
Yeah, and their flight muscles are incredibly powerful.
Makes sense. But hovering takes a lot of energy. How do they keep up with that?
Well, they have insanely high metabolisms and heart rates, and they're constantly feeding on nectar. Their long beaks and tongues are perfect for reaching deep into flowers.
It's like they were made for each other, the hummingbirds and the flowers.
Hmm.
Okay, for our final creature, I want to talk about the octopus, a creature that's just incredibly intelligent.
Octopuses are fascinating.
They're often considered like the smartest invertebrates out there.
And for good reason. They've got highly developed nervous systems, and they can solve puzzles, use tools, even escape from complex enclosures.
I've even heard they can, like, change their shape to mimic other animals.
That's right. They have these specialized pigment cells called chromatophores that let them create a whole range of colors and patterns.
It's like they have a built-in camouflage suit. But what's driving this intelligence? Is it just about survival?
That's a question that scientists are still trying to figure out. Octopuses are solitary creatures, but they're super curious and seem to, enjoy exploring and figuring things out.
It makes you wonder what's really going on in those amazing brains of theirs. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of bizarre and incredible animal adaptations. We've covered a lot of ground today. From creatures that can walk on water to ones that photosynthesize, it's been a wild ride.
It really highlights the power of evolution, how life finds a way to thrive in even the most challenging environments.
It does. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have, and that you've gained a new appreciation for the incredible diversity and ingenuity of life on Earth.
Absolutely. There's always something new to discover in the natural world.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.